Saturday morning to you, and welcome to On the Mark, along with Mark Pappa. I'm Gary Byron. Mark is from Financial Resources Group over in Glastonbury. You can find them online at www.f as in Frank, rplan, frplan.com. And write this phone number down. You're going to need it. 860-657-8380. Again, 860-657-8380. 8380. And by the way, when you're on frplan.com, there's a link to YouTube. Unless you happen to be already on YouTube, Mark's got his own YouTube channel, and you can replay this episode, any of the previous episodes, in case you're new to the show. It also provides you the opportunity, of course, to pause it, take down notes. This is really required listening, as far as I'm concerned. All you need to do is type into the search field once you're on YouTube, Mark Pappa. That's Mark with a K, and there's 3 P's in Pappa. It's MarkPappa 5207, and then you'll be right on Mark's YouTube channel. Mark, good morning. Great to see you.
Hey, good morning, Gary. How are you?
Good. Happy June. Boy, I tell you, the end of this month will be halfway through the year. Look at that.
I know. Imagine that.
Not that I'm trying to rush anything here. But.
I know. Yeah, the time flies. It's especially now.
I know you're
with all the.
I know you're a family man. Your boy, I know, means the world to you. Any summer plans?
A lot of summer plans. Lots of different camps, swim camps, basketball camp,
yes.
Eagle feather camp.
Wow, yeah, I remember.
Couple vacations in there, and
that's good.
He'll be a busy guy for sure. And
how about you? You work hard, but you play hard.
Well, actually, I'm in the process of many different things. So this is going to be a summer where I'll probably get a week. I'll get a week from 1st of July to the 7th, so I won't be available for the listeners.
4th of July weekend.
Yeah,
okay.
4th of July weekend. And then probably, I haven't done it yet, I'm going to book something towards the last week of August. Most likely the same place.
Nice.
Just to get away.
Out of state?
Out of state. But then from there, I'll probably have a plan to go down south somewhere and take a good solid 2 weeks. And I'm going to do that. I need that, and it's good for me. Just a good solid 2 weeks. Nothing crazy.
You take your family, take your son and...
Well, that's school time, so I might just kind of disappear for a while.
I didn't think of that. You're right.
We'll see, though. I'll have my mobile phone, so I'm never really disappeared. But
sometimes just going away alone to clear your head, to have some you time. I'm speaking for myself. I mean, it's therapeutic for me. I come back. It's a double-edged sword because I come back and I got a lot more work that's couldn't get done when I was away. But at the same time, I've recharged my batteries. So,
Yeah, you'll be back to normal in 2 to 3 days.
Exactly.
And need another vacation. Right. That's fine, though.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't. I've learned to balance things, though, Gary, and I think work-life balance in general is so important. So I have done a good job at balancing things out. But when it's time to work, it's time to work.
Let's dive into our subject today. I believe it's just some tax strategies. Taxes, boy, they can really eat into retirement savings. But I know you've got a tool, I know you do, to help clients plan ahead and pay less. Tell us about this strategy software and how it keeps people from overpaying. What can people learn from this?
Okay, so Gary, this is part of my tax planning for. And again, we talked about the accredited investor last time. Most of what I was bringing on board had to do with higher net worth clients, accredited. But again, it doesn't take much to be accredited. So this also applies. It's one thing to have these great tax strategies. It's another thing to not put them to work. So what we like to do for folks is illustrate what is your retirement going to look like. Everyone's like, can I retire? Can I retire? Well, maybe you can. But do you want to retire and then now pay, way more in taxes than you would have had you just planned ahead, or way more in taxes? I know people, their idea of retiring is taking Social Security because it means different things to different people. Other people's idea of retiring is, I'm going to roll over my 401k and consult. So, what does retiring really mean? And then what do you do? How do you best take those assets that you have and time your Social Security correctly? And not just about timing your Social Security, is it? Because remember, how does your Social Security, is it going to interact with all your other income that you might be bringing in? Whether you're pulling money from, you have dividends coming from your brokerage account. You may have capital gains coming from those old mutual funds. You'll have all sorts of different sources of income you're going to need to tap into. It might be a small pension or a big pension. State employees, for example, and town employees, they get these great pensions that, we don't see anymore. So how is all that stuff going to tie together? How do we squeeze the most out of that retirement? How do you get the most income? And I'm going to repeat this, the most income, pay the least amount in taxes, and lower your chance of running out of money. What if you can have those three things? Because that's what we're here to do. Increase your income, lower your taxes, and lessen your chance of running out of money. So you might tell me, hey, Mark, well, if you're going to give me more income, well, how in the world is it that you can lower my chance of running out of money? Shouldn't I run out of money quicker? Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna talk about that as well. But yeah, so one of the softwares, there's two different softwares. One I have for small businesses that I'm just getting into right now, and that will be a future episode. But that's also a game changer.
Yeah.
And then this episode, I want to talk about what do I do when someone comes in and says, okay, Mark, here's my statement from Social Security. These are my pension options. We haven't decided what we're doing yet. This is my spouse's IRA. This is our Roth. This is our brokerage. And then they may have some college funds lying around. But, what do I do? How do I put this all together and make this work? How much money can I draw from this, right? And traditional wisdom, conventional wisdom would say, well, we're going to spend your taxable assets first. Okay, we're going to start drawing from the big IRA. Okay, mm-hmm. And then we're going to leave your Roths alone, and let's let your brokerage account. You can live on some dividends and some non-qualified dividends and qualified dividends, and we're gonna get it figured out. And it's just there's just so many better ways to do things. The way we do it is custom, and I will say, here's your traditional scenario. I'll put your information in the software. This is what most other people get. 4% rule, meaning, okay, if I have $1 million, my safe withdrawal is 4%. This is what Wall Street's been hugging for decades. I don't agree with it. He's changing his mind now, and he's increasing it to like 4.5 or 5 because he knows how wrong he's been for many years. And there's people who, unfortunately, were only living on the 4% and, or rolling the dice thinking they were doing it wrong. But if you just pull money from your qualified account, your IRA, and start drawing on that, then you're going to be paying a much higher tax bill. That's what they call ordinary income. Roth is zero, right? You pay nothing on that.
That's right. Yeah.
And then you have tax-preferred income on dividends and capital gains, depending on your bracket. So what we like to do is show a client a way to blend the three together and say, let's use all your money and, let's take a piece of each asset to live on and to get your 5%. And in order to get the 5%, too, we also have to have a special bucket of money that's safe. So there's so many different ways to plan. But once we get that roadmap together to understand what it's going to look like, and then what we can do is come up with another product that we use. It's called the SAIL. It's called Strategic Asset Income Ladder. And a SAIL plan is really, really interesting. It's what some places might call a bucket strategy. But the bucket strategy is, okay, 1 to 5 years, you're going to spend this bucket of money, okay? And then you had another bucket from, let's say, 5 to 10, right? So that was sitting. So you have bucket 1, you spend. After the end of 5 years, it's at 0. But then what you do, and take bucket 2 and you move it over to bucket 1. And all you're doing is you're just sliding it down each bucket over time.
Won't that go to 0 as well?
No, because what happens is buckets.
Oh, because you're always replenishing it.
Bucket 2, bucket 3, bucket 4.
It keeps moving.
No guarantees, but let's face it, over time, over 10-year periods, those tend to grow. So as long as markets cooperate, right, which, sometimes they don't, but as long as markets cooperate, throughout your retirement, then you'll be replenishing some of the money that you've spent.
What is that called?
It's called the SAIL. So it's proprietary. Okay. Yeah, proprietary to the group of folks we use. There is no guarantee on anything anyone tells you. Okay. However, I would say the probability of failure of this plan, the way we structure it, because what we'll say is, okay, how much do you want to have safe? And the client will say, how much do you want to have in growth? So let's say they might say 50-50. Then we will structure, we'll put 50-50 into the plan, and then we'll put some other numbers in it, conservative numbers. And it's almost fail-proof. It's foolproof. It's almost fail-proof. Wow. There is no such thing as a fail-proof retirement income plan.
Wow, it's incredible.
But if you structure it correctly, then you can do it. So the sale is another thing that we use.
And that sounds like a pretty powerful tool. I know that one thing that retirees worry about is IRMA. Well, actually, maybe you should explain what IRMA is, for what it is for 2025, and how you actually help people to avoid it, and what happens if they draw too much income or even sell an investment property.
Well, yeah, it could be that, okay? It could be selling investment property. Or again, if you're sitting on mutual funds, if you have mutual funds in your brokerage accounts at some of those big firms, and you look at your 1099 DIV and you look at capital gains on your that's getting distributed to you. Sometimes it's $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 in additional income that you're getting, and it's money that you're not even using. You're just saving. So does that make any sense? No. Or should people give me a call and have that evaluated and figure out how to eliminate that problem? Because we know how to fix it. As long as, again, if you want to keep paying the piper and pay the government, because they're so good with your money. Well, nobody
wants to do that.
Right. That's because they're so good with your money. And, we can't even, you know what it's like, $36 trillion in debt. It's like, how many of us can tell, how's that going to keep going? But the IRMA is what's called income-related monthly adjustment amount. This has to do with your Medicare premiums. Let me repeat that. IRMA, IRMAA, income-related monthly adjustment amount. And it is a surcharge added to Medicare B and D premiums for higher income retirees. Now, if you want to see somebody's blood boil, they paid into Medicare their entire working existence, and right? You drove back and forth to work, commuted 20, 30 minutes in snow, storm, and rain and to get your Medicare. And now all of a sudden you realize you just sold, your old cottage, or, you got hit with a capital gain on your, on your mutual fund. And now all of a sudden the IRMA kicks in. So let me tell you what happens. In 2025, IRMA kicks in if you're modified at adjustment gross, or MAGI, from 2 years prior. So this would be 2023, okay? For 2025, exceeds $103,000 for single filers. So again, if you have a pension and Social Security, you're in the danger zone if you're single, right? If you're a state employee or somebody with a decent pension, Social Security, or non-qualified deferred comp plan that is paying out in your first 5 years of retirement, you're in the danger zone. And then for married couples, it's $206,000 for married couples filing jointly. Now, the surcharge can add $91 to $657 per month to your Part B premium. Think about that. So you have somebody who's retired, and that's not $91 a month. So figure that's annually, that's almost over $1,000, right? Imagine if you got hit with the 657. That's at the high level. Yeah. But you're paying really fat premiums for your Medicare. And that doesn't even count the Medicare supplement plan that you're going to be paying for. But this is all depending on your income tier, and more for Part D. So, for example, a single retiree with a MAGI of $130,000 pays an extra $182.70 a month for Part B, which adds up fast. Now, if they've structured their retirement to live at a certain level, because again, you get used to living in a certain way, right? Wouldn't you say? After a certain point in time, you don't. Even if you had more money, you wouldn't even spend it. Isn't that how?
As the older you get, that's true.
It's like, people. Either you're not going out as much, you're not doing things, you're not traveling as much, but at the same time, it's like you just get used to living a certain way. You're creatures of habit, and you get hit because one of your mutual funds had some willy-nilly trader, and then you get hit with an extra even $10,000 or $20,000, and you go over that $103,000. That just costs you. Not only do you have to pay tax on that gain, right now you have to pay another $182.70 a month. So what's that, Gary? $182.70 a month.
Take 182 times 12.
Yeah, 182 a month times 12. That's a painful pill to swallow.
Well,
and it's not like you get better Medicare because you're just paying more for it.
It's a real wake-up call about unexpected income spikes, and now that you've more or less mentioned a strategy to pay, what is it, 70.4% less tax on IRA withdrawals. I mean, that sounds incredible, but let's face it, not everyone can hit that number, Mark. So walk us through it. And if someone, let's say someone only got like half that reduction, would it still be worth it?
It's absolutely. Well, I would just ask the audience. By the way, that's $2,192.42 in extra that you'd be paying. Okay.
Yeah, sure. Nobody wants
this is a strategy that if somebody really was a good planner and they were really proactive, this is a strategy that could work for them. Okay. And the numbers we're using are a bit dated, but I just want to kind of give a high level that this, by the way, had been approved by multiple compliance departments, both broker-dealers and others, to be able to say this. So how do you find a way to pay 70.4 less tax on IRA withdrawals? Well, there is a way to do it. Now, not everyone's going to get there. Not everyone, because you'd have to at least be, you have to start at right at age 60, so between age 60 and 70, and you strategically withdraw funds to keep your bracket at the 12% level. Okay. So it's a little bit more complicated, and it's something that has to be illustrated in a meeting, frankly. But, it's been done before. And this is best for couples with an adjusted gross of $123,500 or less, so $123,500 or less. And it takes in consideration the federal tax brackets for married jointly and the standard deduction, et cetera. So, so there's plenty of examples that we can provide on this. But, again, I don't want to get too deep into the weeds on how it's done because it gets confusing and you actually need to do this in front of the client. But, you're exactly right. Let's say, what if I only save 30% on my IRA withdrawals throughout my retirement? Great. Right? Would that be worth it?
Yes.
I save 30% in taxes?
Of course.
Throughout my retirement. And we're talking percentages and numbers, but those are actual physical dollars that you're not giving to the government and you're using for yourself.
Let me just do this really quick. Folks, you are listening to On the Mark along with Mark Pappa. I'm Gary Byron. Mark is from Financial Resources Group in Glastonbury. Check him out online at frplan.com. And write this phone number down because if you like what you're hearing, you can meet with him without any obligation. I mean, matter of fact, it may be your advantage. You might walk out with a $100 gift card just by doing his checklist. So you can call him up, make a no-obligation consultation at 860-657-8380. I'll repeat more of that more towards the end of the show and talk about his YouTube channel as well. Mark, I'm sorry. Please continue.
Oh, yeah, no problem. So these are just examples of some of what we call our 5 USPs that we use that we bring to get people, at least thinking differently. Wow. At the very least, you have to think a little differently. You have to,
listen.
These are not things that are extremely difficult to implement. It's just a matter of you just have to think a little bit differently about your money versus what conventional wisdom tells you should do.
You said 30%. 30%. Look, 30% is nothing to sneeze. You've also talked about paying
about half that.
Half that, right? Yeah, even half is nothing to sneeze at. You've also talked about paying less than 1% on investment income. This is compared to 15 or 20% capital gains. These many would face, right? Yeah. Especially if you use that split strategy with an income annuity and an ETF, and I don't even know how that all works. But
yeah, I mean, that's another thing that, again, there's no one-size-fits-all solution for folks, but it's another example of what people can do is because, a lot of the income annuities are just sort of a return of capital, and they, so you're getting you could take your money out for 5 years or 10 years, whatever you want to do. But, so let me give you the example. In this case, it was a $200,000 investment account, and they would take out a 5-year period certain annuity of $55,816. So they would take $55,000 of that money and put that away. Okay. A period certain annuity. So at the end of 5 years, it's gone. Okay. But they also take an ETF or some other type of product. They take $144,000, the difference, and put it in that. So let's say this $55,816, call it $55,000 annuity, pays them $960 a month. Okay, so they get their income about $57,580. Okay, over the 5 years in income. So they're getting their premium back plus a little interest, right? And then in this case, let's say we have an assumed growth rate. Just use the market average, a historical average since forever, of 6.76%. Okay. Now, I just want to caution everybody: the market doesn't go up 6.76% on average every year. Right. And if it did, and that was my guarantee, I'd probably put a lot of money in that strategy. But again, it's a hypothetical example. But what happens is at the end of 5 years, the $55,000 has been spent and it's depleted. But the $144,000 at that basic rate of return, if it's invested correctly, grows back to $200,000. Okay. So in this example, it provides $11,516 a year in income. And then you have an exclusion ratio of 97% in this example. Then you would only pay tax of $346 per year, and the remaining $1,170 is return of principal. So it's just a function of, again, does it work for everybody? No. Should people give me a call and look at that to see if it might work with them?
Absolutely.
Because otherwise, again, if I'm telling you, the big brokerage houses, are they offering you these strategies? Are they telling you, hey, let's try it like this, or do they want to just get the maximum amount of fees they can on your account?
Mark, it's a clever combo. But really quickly, because we got 5 minutes left, I really want to talk about blending income sources, Roth, brokerage accounts, IRAs, and timing Social Security to optimize Roth conversions. How do you make that work, let's say, for tax smart planning?
That's a tough one. Again, we use a software. It's called Tax Clarity. So remember, I told you how I would gather all your data. I get statements from your Social Security. So we do a Social Security timing optimization. Okay. And a lot of times that matters, like based on, is there an age gap between the husband and the wife, or the wife and the husband? Who might have earned more in their career? Who earned less? Did you have equal? Do we both wait to 70? Depending on and then when are you going to retire? So are you going to retire at 67? Okay, so then let's say one income drops off, another spouse is 64. They're going to work till 66. We've got to figure all that out. So that's what the software helps us do. At 67, I might say, well, your income's gone. How are you going to live? And then it says, good question. So what you can do is, okay, well, why don't we start pulling some money out of your traditional IRA, and some out of your Roth and some out of your brokerage account to make up for the income that you're losing. Or we can say, if let's say the spouse is a big earner, or you could live on just one income, you can say, well, let's take a piece of that and convert it to a Roth, right? So we can do Roth conversions. In a perfect world, both would retire at 60 and convert their IRAs, till age 73, or till they can do it. But it just doesn't work that way for most people. So that's one of the main things that we'll do is we do that. We blend the tax smart planning with this software, and it'll tell us how much, by the way, can we convert before we hit. Remember, I mentioned the IRMA, and that increase in your Medicare spike. How much can we convert before we hit that? How much can we convert until we hit that next tax bracket of 22%? Because you go to 12 to 22, that's a big jump.
That's a master class right there.
12 to 24
tax planning there,
but
Mark.
we can't do that over the radio. It all has to be done in person. But once we do it, once we have the data in there, I'll run. Scenario one is do it the same old way everyone else does, and I show you what you're paying. Then I show you, let's try it this way with maybe a smaller Roth conversion. Okay. Guess what? All of a sudden now your tax bill just dropped from, let's say, $14,000 a year. Now I see it drop to 12. Okay, what if we tried it like this and I get it down to 10? I've done that so many times, Gary. That's $4,000 a year that client's going to save in tax just by doing it this way. That doesn't sound like a lot of money.
No,
but what can you do with $4,000?
Absolutely.
Can you go on a decent vacation?
Everything.
With it?
It all adds. Everything helps.
How much is it worth in 10 years? Not even using compound interest.
Right. I've got
$40,000.
About a minute and a half left, Mark. I mean, listen, I feel like I'm taking a course every time I'm with you. A free course here on the radio. Any final thoughts in the remaining minute and a half?
Well, we talked about a lot of higher level things and a little bit more specific things over the last couple shows. But back to basics, I can assure you, most people, when I see them for the 21-point checklist, the full checklist, there are things that have not been taken care of. Whether it's, let's talk about basic stuff, having their home insurance reviewed. I mean, every client I meet with, let's get your home insurance reviewed with your guy. I don't sell this kind of insurance, but let's make sure we get that. Let's make sure on the way here, I had a client on the phone. She's going to bring me a new copy of her durable power of attorney. Okay, she's going to bring me a new copy because the other one is outdated. Or another thing we can do is we can refresh it for you because we have a virtual law firm in-house. You want to make sure your power of attorney is working, but you want to get that. Please,
you cover everything, from the big things to the little things and the stuff that no one else is talking about.
Yeah, get this stuff done. Do a full checklist review. Then we could talk about the tax maps and the tax strategies and the income strategies and paying, up to 70% less on your IRA withdrawals if it's applicable to you. Let's figure out if we can hit any of those targets.
Speaking of which, this checklist, somebody could get a $100 gift card, right?
They can get a $100 gift card as well. They can get a $100 gift card. It's no cost or obligation. I will pay you for your time to come see me, help you uncover benefits that you're owed and you're not even aware of. Wow. And chances are we're going to find things that you didn't know about that you were going to wish you came to me sooner.
I believe it. I do. Folks, if you like more information on this topic or any of the others that we've covered here every Saturday morning, simply head on over to Mark's YouTube channel. You can re-listen to this at your pace, slow it down, you can pause it, as well as any of the other episodes that have aired. Simply go to YouTube in the space search bar, type in Mark Pappa, Mark with a K, Pappa 5207. And have at it. If you'd like to head on over to his website, it's very simple, www.frplan.com. Schedule that no-obligation consultation. Do the checklist. Get your $100 gift card at no obligation. 860-657-8380. That'll schedule that all-important consultation. I'll repeat that number for you again. Write it down and call it. 860-657-8380. For Mark Pappa, I'm Gary Byron. Thank you so much for listening to On the Mark with Mark Pappa from Financial Resources Group. Until next Saturday morning, have a good one, buddy. So far.